All right, pretty much, pretty much what we're trying to do here is, what I'm trying to do here is raise an army. I'm trying to raise an army of new generation of modelers. Like myself, who are brand new to this. We have more questions than we ever will have answers. But I'm trying to show everybody the sum of the whole. The add up all the modelers and their knowledge and experience, whether they're beginners or experienced, doesn't matter. You put all that together here. In this case, the YouTube network, and you're going to be able to proceed with something as scary as the seam and rivet issues with the AMT cab over kits. On my first video on this, I referred to it way in the beginning, and I kicked my butt when I hear it. I said rivet and seam issue. Rivet and seam issue. Now, I've already, unbeknownst, I did not know it was that big of a big deal. I didn't realize that I screwed up my cab over unit. I went back based on an inspiration of other modelers, but we're talking about a different type of modeling. We're talking about armor modelers. Will Patterson, who does aircraft, and a whole bunch of other people. How they bring up their mistakes and they fix them, or they bring up a model's defect and they tell you an explanation how they're going to go about fixing it. I like that part of it. Something I noticed here on the YouTube modeling network is there are no secrets, and everyone's more than happy to share what they know. Now, that's the way I have always loved to operate. So unknowingly, I stepped into, I guess we're all stepping into our own little world here that's just perfect for us. So I'm not lecturing, I'm not scolding or talking down to anybody. I thought I was going to film this in a process of kind of like chapters, one at a time. But no, I decided at the last second, this is the second time I shot this thing. The first time I didn't like the way it came out. So first of all, I have 5 AMT cabs from early production, many years ago, to the more later modern production or releases. And I noticed that the earlier production, and it may just be this one here, didn't have any problems with the seam or the rivets. You just clean up the seam, press them together and glue them, and you can barely see the seam. Everything, all the rivets line up, all the ends line up. That was a pleasant surprise. This is our Freightliner dump truck kit we've been following. We're doing the build on. This one had more defects in the rivets and seam than any AMT cab I've had so far. These are the more later renditions or releases from AMT. Each one is slightly different than the other in terms of defects. Let's call them defects for right now, but they're not a big deal. So the only thing it told me is that from the conception, when they first came out with the dies or the molds for their styrene injection process here, over the years or over the decades, they wore out. They probably went back and repaired them, ran them again, wore them out again, and that's why you have different type defects, each one being repaired and the next run having a slightly different wear pattern. If that makes any sense, it's the only thing I can think of. The only thing I'm going to tell you is each one of these is different from the other in terms of defects and rivets in the seams. And every time, this is what I'm going to highly recommend to anybody or everybody who's watching these videos. Anytime you open up a box of your AMT cab over kit, put your 2 halves together by hand and find out, identify what are the problems in your particular case, because each one is different or can be different, and then go about by using little pieces of my little video series build, or from what you know already, or what from others are posting on YouTube, and decide. It's not just, oh, this one needs this and then that's it. No, it's going to be, okay, I I'm going to shoot the videos in a form and in a fashion where I don't have a one answer fix all thing for this. I'm purposely going to post a few methods when I came up by myself, and I'll share that with you guys too. But I want you to open that kit, put them together, identify what it needs, what it's lacking, and using my videos, you can pick, mix, and match the repair process for each individual particular section of your cab. Do it as part of the build. Build that experience. Take your time. It's not a race. And identify that some may need the seam filled in more than others. Some may not need the seam filled in at all. Some only need a couple rivets replaced. Some don't need any replaced at all. Some need entire rivet rolls replaced. That type of deal. Uh, this video and all my video series I'm posting here on YouTube, I'm doing it for you guys. That's you guys, anyone who's watching. And you do not have to ask for my permission or okay or anything if you want to use my videos or portions of my videos for anything you need to do model related. Have fun, knock yourself out, use them to your heart's content, pass the word along. Okay, so I decided that the video rivet seam series we're doing here, it's not going to be that. We're going to continue to work on my AMT Freightliner dump truck. Now we're addressing the rivet and the seam issues. But as we move along with that process, we'll pull out ideas or stuff I have mentioned that I can use. And I'm going to purposely go out of my way to use different methods throughout this cab to show you guys the techniques. If I can't use it on this one, then we'll start work on one of the others or all of them. So at the end of the day, when we're done with the series, it may be that each one of these cabs already been repaired, but with a different method, and all of them giving excellent results. I do want to say one thing. Whether you use one of my methods or all of them, or the ones you've developed or the ones you have used or the ones others have posted on YouTube, or if you just choose to do nothing and just smash the pieces together and glue them, or if you want to sand your roof completely smooth and just take care of that seam, I actually like that idea. That's probably one of my favorites. Or if you just want to invent your own method, I'm just going to go out and say it. All the methods you decide to use on your model are okay. They're all right, every single one of them. There is no right or wrong in this. It's like the D-Day Normandy landings. The number one priority and order they gave to all the officers and the non-coms was to tell their men, get your men off the beach. That was number one priority. Get them off the beach. Get them off the beach or this whole thing's going to fail. And you'll hear that all the time mentioned when you watch Private Ryan and stuff like that. Same thing here. I'm just getting you guys off the beach. We know they have little defects. Let's not talk about it anymore. All models have little defects. I'm going to get you guys off the beach. We'll pick some simple, fun techniques to make it look a little better. And let's get you guys off the beach. I got to get off the beach. And real quick, I was about to shoot the second video and I was going to just jump right into it, not realizing I had not explained what you're going to need, what kind of tools and stuff. There's nothing on this workbench that's expensive or impossible to find, and it's pretty much stuff that you already have in your little hobby room or your little hobby workbench in your home. Let's go over it. If you're going to make your own rivets, or you want to replace either one, two, or all the rivets on your Freightliner cab over kit, then there are some methods I'm going to share with you real quick. You can buy commercially available rivets from Archer Transfer Decal Company. You can buy ready-made rivets. In this example, I don't know if the company's still around, but that's from Tiki Train Group. You can use styrene rod. Now, this method I like to use, and I've used it many times, And I actually used it on this guy here. And I use Archer dry transfers and the styrene rod. And when we get deeper into the videos, I'll show you where I use the styrene. I'll show you right now the styrene rod. And you would have never told, you would have never known had I told, not pointed it out. Oh, went this down here. All these all around there, all the ones down here, and all the ones in the front right here. Those are simple styrene rod slice. It's like cutting pepperoni to make slices for a pizza. You simply cut the pieces and then you start slicing them into coins, little tiny coins or slices, and then you glue those on your model. I'll show you how to go about doing that, and that's recommended for sections and not whole entire body sides or anything like that. Paul Hill's Classic suggested, and I've used this already, actual pins or push pins. Cut off the head, or you drill a hole, press the whole pin through there, and cut it off from the inside. There's the Archer dry transfers. In this case, they're just Archer rivet decals. Also, if you want to make your own rivets, highly recommend you get one of these. Little wagon wheel type. It's for the garment industry. I think it's for making patterns for lines and stuff. And that little wheel will press the rivets through the styrene, except it does it upside down or in the opposite way. Your rivet is now pointed inward as a whole. You want to flip it around so the rivet pops up like little bumps on the surface. And so in order to do that, this next process I'm going to recommend you get the thinnest, smallest sheet of styrene, almost like paper thin. In this case, it's a 0.15 thick or 0.4 millimeters. You're going to use that to cut patterns. And then you can actually use your wheel to do your rivet lines, flip it around, and now you can glue this on top of your cab. But what that does, we'll cover that too, is it gives you the benefit of covering up that seam. That's when I mentioned we don't have to really use putty for that seam. There's other ways around it, and that's one of the ways there. You can use all sorts of applicators to apply your extra thin or your putty or whatever you decide to use. I use toothpicks. There's squeeze bottles with metal needles on them. There's syringes. If you're going to make your own rivets or lay your own rivets down, you need to have your squares to keep those rivet lines nice and straight and even. And last but not least, these are the different putties I've used, we're going to use, or are available to use, including a Bondo glaze and spot putty, Vallejo plastic putty, which apparently has stone dust mixed into it, regular Tamiya putty. Acoustic guitar repairmen use CA glue to fill in joints and stuff, and you can use CA glue here to fill in joints. There's also Mr. Hobby, Mr. Surfacer by Mr. Hobby. I started using that for the first time today here on our projects to fill in the gaps instead of putty, and I'll show you how that came out. I already did a little bit of it. Get yourself Tamiya extra thin glue. I can't recommend this enough. Bottle's only like $7, but it'll last you a year or two. You're gonna need that because we're not going to be gluing pieces together or rivets onto a surface. We're going to be melting styrene together and melting rivets onto a surface. All other glues, including CA, won't give you the effect we're going to get by using extra thin. If you use anything other than extra thin, unless you find a product that's the same and acts the same, I don't recommend them. If you're going to do this part, this is what I recommend. And get yourself an extra bottle of extra thin, throw a bunch of styrene pieces in there, and create what they call styrene glue. It's like thick milk. You guess it's similar to Elmer's glue or white glue, except you don't want to use Elmer's glue or white glue. This is actual styrene, and I've been using this now along with the Mr. Surfacer, so I can fill in seams and not have to worry about shrinkage throughout the years, like I did with these other products. And I did have a lot of shrinkage even with that stuff. Let me see what else I can talk about. Pretty much, let me share something with you guys real quick regarding the arch or dry transfer decals, the ready-made decals. We ran into a little problem. Yeah. So they're no longer available, and the limited stock they have is depleting very fast. I spoke with one of the guys from Dragon Hobbies, a big supplier of Archer decals on eBay. Actually, emailed him personally, and he replied to me, "Yeah, they're running out fast, and there is going to be no unless someone buys the line. That's it. So in the meantime, we're going to have to do what we have." Um, or make our own rivets, or come up with our own solutions. I did find another one that I share with you guys. Now the Micro Mart carries their own rivet pattern lines in different scales. I went ahead and ordered the biggest ones I found, which were old scale. They're already here. We'll open I haven't opened the packages yet. I ordered three sets from two different suppliers. We'll open that here on the next video in the beginning, and we'll check them out together. But I did order them. They're pricey. They're about almost 20 bucks a piece, not including shipping. So I ordered two, and it was about 50, over 50, but almost 60 bucks. And my experience from doing these in the past is you want to use G scale size, and they gotta be labeled G scale rivets or rivet heads. If you use O scale or anything below, they're too small. Trust me, I've already made that mistake, that expensive mistake. You can still use the small rivets in O scale, I'm hoping, for little areas on our cab. But for the big stuff up here, you have to use, excuse me, you have to use G scale size rivets or rivet patterns. Otherwise, they're way too small. And it's very, you think, oh, you may not notice from far away. No, it's actually very, very small. It's very noticeable. Let me see here. What else can I think of? That's about it for today. Thank you for joining me. We'll shoot another part two probably tonight or tomorrow night. But like I mentioned earlier, it's not going to be a classroom type tutorial or series build, but rather we're going to continue working on our Freightliner dump truck project kit. Now we're just doing cab and rivets. And as I move along the different processes or methods, I'll grab what I feel is best for that section, and we'll film that and do it together. Keep in mind, this is my presentation model. This is the one that's going to be on YouTube forever, and if there's a model show or something like that, this is the one I would bring out. And I'm not going to be using the easy way of just pure decals. I'm going to be using different little methods on my own personal project. In other words, I've used these methods before. I like them, and the results are so good, I have no problem using them on my little showpiece here. And I'm pretty proud of her and the work all of us have done with her. So I had to shoot this video. I almost jumped right into building without mentioning the different things you're going to need. None of this stuff is impossible, easy to find. Hobby Lobby, your own hobby store, eBay. It will not set you back money-wise, but you'll be using it throughout the years, and you're going to be glad you bought it way back when, because now you have bottle glue or whatever. And so if you like this, if you're interested, and if down the road you feel you're going to tackle little portions of your AMT cab over on little rivet seam issues, and one month you may grab watch one video where it covers this section, or maybe come back a year later and go back and see how we did the seams. It's going to be a very slow paced, fun, build as we learn type series build. And if this is for you, then come on board. We're more than happy to have you. No rush here, and definitely no hurry. And if this is not for you, you're more than welcome to bail out. No, nothing personal on my part. Or if you don't feel you don't have the experience or the years, the skill level, then you come on back when you feel you do. I'll tell you what. If you already built your cab like I did once upon a time, the other one, and I created a disaster, and you got one of those on your hand, contact me below in my email section. Send me some pictures. I'll send you my email, and we'll see how we can go about uh, pointing you, hopefully, or pointing all of us in the right direction, how you can get started in fixing that. And to William Feather, if you're watching this, buddy, it's about 2 years late, but I promised you a series on this seam and rivet issue. William Feather, I hope you're still around here on YouTube, but stick around, enjoy, ask all the questions you want, my friend. We'll take care of that. But there you go. Thank you, everybody, for getting us to this step. Tell you what, man, there's no other place in the world I want to do my modeling than right here on the YouTube Modeling Network. You guys take care.